What is up and welcome back. If this is your first time watching, we are your Colorado real estate family. I've got a fun video today. In this one, we'll have a few serious things, or not really serious, more statistical things in the beginning of this, but we're gonna be talking about 10 truths about living in Colorado. A lot of these come up from you guys when we are first meeting you and you've never been in Colorado at all, ever before. And so there's a few things you ask us and we're like, okay, let's make sure to tell you right now that a few things that you think you know about Colorado, you really don't know. We're gonna be covering 10 truths of living in Colorado. The first truth that we are going to cover is Colorado is the new California. A lot of this did originate from when we had a huge influx of people who were relocating the majority into like Denver, Colorado. A lot of those people were from California, and that's where this term kind of really started with a lot of the locals, a lot of the natives that are in Colorado, and statistically it's still showing that way. So in 2022, this is the most recent numbers that I could find on the states with the most residents moving into Colorado. California is still number one, coming in with 14.45% of the new residents who did relocate into Colorado, that number totaling 33,213. Texas is number two. We've been seeing this quite a bit as well. A lot of people moving up from Texas. And then Florida comes in at number three, with the number three state having its residents relocate into Colorado. So yes, we could say technically it's a thing, right? And there's a lot of natives here. It rubs them the wrong way. I will not lie about that. They say, gosh, Colorado, it's just like California all over again. What is going on? We are losing our mountainous. And so don't be alarmed if you are from California and you do come here. You might not get that exact friendliness from a lot of Coloradans that you might expect. I'm not saying it's everyone, but there are still some native, multi-generational Coloradans who do not like the fact that so many Californians have relocated into Colorado. The second truth about living in Colorado is, yes, Denver is losing residents. Now, Colorado as a whole is not losing residents. Year over year, actually, Colorado is up 0.62%. Denver, though, is losing residents. A lot of these outlying cities are gaining residents. Northern Colorado is growing in popularity like crazy. Like, we knew Fort Collins, I think it was back in like 2020, was rated like the top spot for livability or some crap like that on one of these livability scores. But Northern Colorado is growing super popular, and the statistics show that annually. Let's talk about a few of these cities. So first, let's talk about Windsor, Colorado. It is up 5.88% in population year over year. That is a huge number. Let's look at another one of these Northern Colorado. Johnstown, Colorado is up 3.66%. Frederick, Colorado, although I wouldn't know if I technically call this like Northern Colorado. This is like sandwiched in between your Denver Metro North and then like Northern Colorado. It's this weird area called the Carbon Valley. Frederick, Colorado is actually up 5.57%. And if you go across the street to the west over into Erie, Colorado, that is up 4.58%. So the Northern Denver Metro area and Northern Colorado is growing like crazy. Wait till I tell you though, the city that has experienced the most growth year over year, which is also Northern Colorado. First, let me cover a couple of these cities in the Denver Metro South though. So Castle Rock, Colorado has grown 3.08% year over year. If we look at Parker, Colorado, it has grown 2.05% year over year. Another one that I guess I missed out when we're talking about this Northern Colorado. We talk about this all the time where people say, Northern Colorado doesn't start until Loveland. I technically think that Northern Colorado starts at Berthoud. Some people will disagree with me. Elena, our northern agent, she will say that she technically thinks it's Loveland, but I digress. Berthoud, Colorado has grown 6.61% year over year, but the top city that I saw in growth has been Timnath, Colorado, which is just like east, I guess you could say like directly east, southeast-ish kind of Fort Collins, Colorado, has grown 10.84% year over year. So there are a ton of these cities. I didn't even mention a few that aren't growing as fast. So if we're talking about like, Thornton, Westminster, Colorado, Coral Springs is still growing. It is projected to surpass the Denver population come year 2050. We will see if that does happen. But Denver, and there's always talks about how everyone is leaving Colorado, when technically when we look at these numbers, everyone is just leaving Denver, Colorado. The third truth when we are talking about Colorado is the fact that you may get a sunburn easier in Denver as compared to Miami. We used to talk about this stat all the freaking time back in the day, how pretty much so on average, because the numbers are skewed, I think it said between like 1 and 15%. What we took from it though is for every 1,000 feet of elevation that you do go up in altitude, your UV rays are likely to be 10% stronger. So they actually did a study back in, I think it was 2018, pretty much like if you stood out in the sun, same conditions, whether you have sunblock on, same attire and all that stuff, I think it took like 11 minutes to get sunburned in Denver, whereas opposed to like New York, it took like 23 minutes. And they are attributing that to the fact that since you are closer to the sun, a lot less atmosphere to protect you from those UV rays, the sun can be a lot more intense up in Denver as compared to sea level. The fourth truth about Colorado. If you've been to Colorado or visited Colorado or actually lived in Colorado before planning on moving back, you already know this, but Colorado is not covered by mountains. Yes, the majority of the state, when we are talking the west side, covered by mountains, but you have a lot of these flat, like the Great Plains, when you are talking about Denver over, and even, I mean, a little bit further, even when we're talking about like Littleton, Lakewood, over, you're going to see a lot of flatlands out there right past the foothills. So we are not all mountains. I remember when I was in the military, people always say, did you like grow up as like a mountain kid or nothing like that? Everyone thought I was like this huge mountaineer that all I did was live in the mountains. No, Colorado is not all mountains if you've never experienced Colorado before. In fact, the eastern side of Colorado looks a little bit more like Kansas. The fifth truth that we are going to talk about, that we've actually ran into this quite a bit when we are visiting other places outside of Colorado, is the summers are amazing. We do not get nailed with cold weather and snow year long. The summers are fantastic in Colorado. So many people enjoy them so much, and there are also times where it can be warmer in Colorado than it is actually like down in Florida, where it can get up into the high 90s. We just experienced a super hot weekend. I can't remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before. It got pretty freaking crazy hot, guys, but for the most part, the summer is pretty amazing in Colorado. I prefer spring. I'm all about those high 70s, low 80s in Colorado. And then Chelsea prefers more the fall. She loves the pretty colors that happen with fall, but summer is amazingly beautiful in Colorado. I highly recommend checking it out and experiencing it if you haven't before. This sixth one, this one might be a little controversial, but before I rock into that, guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate, calling Colorado your next home, make sure you do give us a call or text that phone number right below. Right below it there, we always answer. It doesn't matter date or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, make sure you follow along by hitting that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell that we notified every single time that we put out a new video. All right, so this one, I was hesitant to put this one down, but I feel like it's something that should get mentioned because we do have a few comments on our videos from time to time talking about this. And the best way that I could really put it is Colorado is progressively getting more progressive. I will say though, there are still portions of Colorado that are still pretty conservative. There's a county just north of where our house is up in Weld County. It's still pretty conservative up there, but slowly and slowly Colorado went from being more of a purple state, more of a moderate state, into a pretty damn blue state. And it has been pushing a lot of conservatives out of the state because they do not enjoy a lot of the things that come from that. So recently we just experienced the plastic bag ban, right? So now in the grocery stores, last year you could purchase them in the grocery stores, where now you can't, they're not even available at all. You have to bring your own reusable bags or purchase them at the store in order to bag your groceries when we are talking about these major grocery stores. And a lot of people just don't like that. They're like, you know what? I don't want the higher taxes. I don't want all these different restrictions that you guys are applying to me. And that is what is coming with Colorado becoming more progressive. The seventh one, and I feel like I should have put this in with the mountains, but it doesn't snow all the time. I already kind of mentioned this, but there's so many times that I think, okay, so if you're in the United States, you probably don't really think of this, but I know when we go down to like Mexico on our vacations, everyone's always like, oh, Colorado, you guys have snow year round and stuff. It's like, no, it does not snow all the time. In fact, Colorado isn't even in the top 5 when we are talking about the snowiest states in the United States. According to World Population Review, Colorado is actually ranked number 10 when we are talking about the snowiest states in the United States. And it's really not that bad, guys. I mean, I'd say probably half dozen at most really bad snowstorms throughout the wintertime. Outside of that, it's seriously, and most of the time, because the sun is a little bit more intense up here and we do get so much sunshine in Colorado, it might snow and then it'll be melted the next day. And make sure you stick around to the last one, because the last one is super important, something that you are going to need to know if you are purchasing a house in Colorado. I do not want you to make this mistake and then you come back and be like, man, I wish I'd remembered what Pete and Chelsea were talking about, because now I did this and I wish I wouldn't have. The 8th one, and this one's kind of a fun one, is Colorado is full of green chili addicts. If you do not know what green chili is, we are constantly going all over. No, everyone thinks it's a verde sauce. Like, oh yeah, I know what green chili is. No, if you think that green chili is a verde sauce, you do not know what green chili is. Green chili, the best way that I can explain it, and then I try to explain to other people, think of it as like a Mexican gravy, right? It's amazing. We smother our burritos in it. We put it in our breakfast burritos. We eat it in a bowl if we want. You could use it as a dip. It is amazingness. And so anytime that you are at a Mexican restaurant and you have no idea what green chili is, make sure to order your burrito next time smothered, and you will most likely get that green chili. It's not going to be some cheese sauce or nothing like that they do in a lot of these other states. You're going to get green chili. It is fantastic. And I will say that there is a chance that you are going to become a green chili addict if you've never had it before. The 9th truth about living in Colorado is not everyone skis. Actually, growing up here as a 5th generation native, there wasn't a single person in my family who skied or snowboarded or did any of that growing up. I mean, my grandma, she had 7 boys. From that, you could guess we had a bunch of grandkids, and none of us ever touched it. Now, a few of us did get more into it as we got older, into like our later teens and then early 20s. But yeah, a lot of natives here don't ever ski or snowboard, and the majority of the people who do move into Colorado are the ones who are going up there hitting the mountains quite a bit. And so don't be surprised if you find a native here or someone who has lived here for a little bit and they tell you that they do not ski or snowboard. The 10th, and I feel like one of the most important truths that you must know about living in Colorado, is the north-facing house. We used to talk about this all the time. North-facing house, here's what it is, guys. Wintertime, it's snowing and all that stuff, whatever, you're shoveling that snow. The north side of the house is much colder, and so the snow melting in your driveway is going to be a lot less than if you have a south-facing house. I love a southwest-facing house, but our house currently right now that we have in Thornton is a south-facing house, and there's many times where we just get a little bit of a snow. I don't have to shovel at all, where I wave across the street to my neighbor Dave, hey, what's going on, Dave? As he's shoveling this. And this is something that so many people realize after they buy a house here. They're like, man, why did I buy a north-facing house? Now I constantly have to shovel almost twice as much as my neighbor across the street since they have a south-facing house. All right, guys, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. This was a fun video. I enjoy doing videos like this. Again, also, I wanted to mention, thank you so much for the support of our video last week. I know it had nothing to do with living in Denver, but thank you so much. There were so many of you who reached out, and so I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much for all the love. If you are looking at purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado, make sure you give us a call or text at that phone number right below. Right below it there, we always answer. It doesn't matter date or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, you want to find out some more fun facts or areas that are in the Denver metro all the way up into Fort Collins, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a new video. Until next time, we love you. Bye.